acid one time, some LSD, and all of a sudden you realized how screwed up this place was and decided you were going to change it.
Yeah, in fact, you know, it's weird. What we try to focus on, that happened to me, and now that we take our acid trips, we focus on the difference between, like, downtown L.A. with the poor people and Bel Air with the rich pigs, as we like to say. And I'm watching 60 Minutes the other night, and they're saying the same thing. So I guess the regular people are coming around to seeing the truth now, finally, after all these years, too.
Well, you know, the truth as to...
Well, the truth is what's going on in society. I think marijuana, what we're doing is we're using it to wake up. And what we're seeing is that this is a very corrupt society. You're in Palm Beach, right?
No, we're in Miami.
Miami, but I mean, you're in that area where
we're close to...
went on trial. I mean,
we're close to the United States.
He got off, and because Mike Tyson was black, he got convicted. So stuff like that we see because we're using the marijuana.
Let's back up here just a second, okay?
I think you rolled one a little too tight there.
I'm trying to show you that we're
in your head.
Potheads. We're looking at what's going on in society as well.
You actually think that Mike Tyson got convicted because he was black?
Yeah, I mean, Kennedy Smith did the same thing, so I feel that Mike Tyson got convicted only because he was black.
Oh, well.
Okay. So anyway, how long have you been throwing pot out to the crowd?
Well, we've been a band for 2 years, and I've been doing it for 2 years. We've played about 50 shows, so... I've thrown it pretty much every show, and nothing's ever happened.
I haven't really seen any of your records. How are they doing as far as sell-wise?
Well, the one that you have is like my only one. It's called Puffin' the Lord, and it's doing okay. We're going to do something new, though. I'm going to start putting a joint in each tape, so I think it'll start going better.
Now, is this, marijuana has gotten to be fairly expensive.
I know. That's the thing. It's like a government plot. The price of cocaine, which we feel is the devil, has gone way down, and the price of marijuana has gone way up. So the government would rather have you doing the coke than smoking the weed.
So, you, last time, threw out 100 joints. You were at the Troubadour.
Yep.
Okay. And they couldn't catch you doing it? Why wouldn't they bust you? What is the penalty in California?
It's twofold. Being a real reverend, they have no way to really bust me because I have the right to give my followers the Holy Sacrament. What we're doing when the band plays is like a religious service, and the band is my choir, and the people hear me preach. That's the music, and then at the end they get the sacrament. So it's just like a modern-day religion.
And the cops buy all that?
Yeah, I guess, because they've never come to my shows. I think the other thing, the reason I've never been busted is L.A. is such a big town. I guess they don't have the time. They're too busy beating up on black motorists to come and bother Reverend Bud.
Almost all of those in the entertainment business, pretty well-known fact that the drugs are fairly rampant, and they kind of look the other way. There are a lot of advocates as far as legalization of marijuana in California.
Yeah.
But, you get out of there, and you find that it's not a universal feeling across the country.
I think it is with the youth, but you're right. With the authorities, I think it's different. We've been, only tour we've done so far is we've gone to Portland and Seattle, and it was good up there, too. Nobody worried about it.
Well, they're very progressive thinking, and they do a lot of indoor growing.
But I have no problem with going to jail because if I come to Miami and they throw me in jail, it's just going to make me a political prisoner, so I actually achieve my aims even more.
Well, you can sit next to Noriega. You'll have something to talk about.
Yeah, that's right.
So
don't get me started on Noriega.
Okay.
We all know that he was framed up by the U.S. government.
So anyway, you need to be a little more outspoken, bud.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you something. What are the penalties now in California for marijuana use?
Under an ounce, it's a ticket.
And how much is that ticket?
Like discretion of the judge. I've only gotten like 2 in my time, which is about over 10 years ago. I think it was $50 fine.
$50 each. Okay.
But the main thing was they stole my weed. I mean, that was the big thing. The cop.
Okay, now I had to dump you just then, all right? We can talk pretty much about anything. We just can't use all expletives on the air.
Oh, I don't think I pit. I didn't think I did. Okay.
No, it's just street language sometimes. We get carried away. Our listeners do, too. That's why we have a 7-second delay. But we've used it up for the moment, so just kind of watch yourself if you would. So where do you want to go with this thing, and what are you trying to do? I mean, I got to tell you, from your picture, you're pretty freaked out looking.
Yeah, long hair.
Yeah, you're the type of person that the older generation who, and again, they have a lot of misconceptions about marijuana. They think that if you smoke marijuana that you're just going to be laying in the gutter by the side of the road. Let me ask you this. Have you smoked some recently?
Yeah, I just, while you guys were waiting, that's what I said I took a bong yet. I worshiped the Lord a few minutes ago.
Okay, so you're stoned as we speak.
No, you know what I feel is I'm knowledgeable as we speak.
Okay, so you're knowledgeable as we speak. which I would, again, I point out, everything is a drug in its own way, and if you were drunk, people would obviously be able to tell, but I have to ask you on marijuana if you've had any.
I mean, it's only an herb. I mean, I call it a drug, we all call it a drug, but the difference is it comes directly from the Lord. Being a reverend, I'm going to quote the Bible here.
Okay.
Genesis 1:29, and God said, ye shall partake of every herb-bearing seed. That's what marijuana is, so the Lord does want us to smoke it.
Okay. Are you a member of NORML?
Yeah, but you know what? They're a little too non-radical for me.
They're too non-radical?
With people like Normal and High Times trying to discredit what we're doing because we are so political.
Now, do you know who Ed Rosenthal is?
Yeah, I asked Ed from the High Times. Yeah.
We had on Ed, and I thought he was too radical. You know, you have to be middle of the road in presenting accurate facts. You can't just say that everything for your particular thing that you're promoting is perfect, because everything is not perfect for anything. And Ed is a little, I mean, you bring up negatives, and Ed completely ignores those negatives, and there are negatives. Now, I will tell you, I'm an advocate for legalization of drugs, one, because many lives, many productive people, many attorneys, many doctors, their careers have been thrown away because they have been busted for a very benign substance that's less benign, or that's more benign than alcohol or tobacco or whatever that's legal, and they spend their lives having to live this down, having to hire attorneys, going to jail for something that wasn't hurting anybody.
Yeah, remember Judge Ginsburg.
But, yeah, exactly. But to deny that there's any detrimental effects would be to deny the truth.
Yeah, I think he is one of the more radical people, but, you know, you'll get the same thing from me. I don't see anything wrong with marijuana. If there's a problem that people have had with it, it's because they didn't use it the right way.
Well, exactly, and it's people can abuse anything. And if you're going to sit around and smoke pot your whole life, you're not going to get anything done.
That's right. Yeah.
You will become very lethargic. You know, it's cumulative effects, I mean, can be detrimental. So anything, but then again, you look at people who overeat. They weigh 400 pounds. They're shortening their lives. Anything, what I'm saying is, that's abused is going to be a detriment.
Exactly. I mean, and the thing is, you want to be active with marijuana. You want to smoke it and then go out and do something. So there's a point. You have to be sitting still while you're smoking it, but then once you get the high and you get the knowledge, you want to do something with it.
But you don't want to go driving around. You don't want to encourage that.
Well, let me tell you something. I have to be truthful here. It makes you drive better.
You see, this is where you're going to lose a lot of people in your argument for legalization.
People who smoke marijuana know that it makes you drive better because it makes you more aware.
Maybe you think it makes you drive better, but the fact is, we would all be better off if we had no substances when we were trying to travel.
Well, I can go with that a little bit, but you know what? You ever seen people on the freeway? Now, out here in L.A., it's, you know, doubly tough. We got people shooting each other a few years ago on the freeway. But,
well, they ought to start that back here. It would alleviate some of our problems.
I'll bet none of them were high, meaning that you get you caught up in the driving. The marijuana can, like, you know, let you see where you really are. You're just in a car. You're not on the road, not a battlefield.
Yeah. But you can also get caught up in looking at a sight, perhaps, and fail to notice a car that stopped in front of you, and you've got to admit that that's true.
That can happen for neophyte smokers.
Okay. So, anyway, I just want to look at what we're talking about in a realistic light.
No, I agree. I mean, that's a good point of doing it because you want to be truthful with
it. And I want to take some callers, and our board is already starting to light up. And again, we've talked about this. As I said, we've had Ed Rosenthal. We have also had, have you ever heard of Elvie Musica?
Yeah, refresh me.
Elvie is the first woman ever allowed to legally smoke pot because of glaucoma. It's a prescription. There's only 11 people, I believe, in the United States can do this. She is in the area. We've had her sitting here next to a DEA agent. She lit up next to the DEA agent. We've had some very heated discussions about this.
I would love to do that. Too bad I wasn't on that show.
Yeah, well, you can't do it legal. They would have busted you in a New York.
I would have done it anyway. I mean, you've heard about me. I'm the guy who lit up on Sally, Jesse Raphael, Joan Rivers, and Geraldo.
Yeah. Well, you ought to light them up, but that's beside the point. We're going to take a break. We're going to let you talk with the audience. Our lines in Broward, Bud, I called you Bud Brown just a moment ago, is our guest this afternoon. He's for legalization of marijuana, not for legalization of all drugs, has a band called Just Say Yes, throws out pot to the crowd, has not been busted. California has been given a couple of tickets. That seems to be the penalty there, and he says that was about 10 years ago. and $50 fine for each. And now they just kind of overlook it. You've been on Sally Jesse Raphael, Geraldo, Joan Rivers. Last time you threw out 100 joints at the Troubadour. Next time it says you're going to be throwing out 200.
Yeah, if we can afford it. It depends. Usually it's the killer bud, so it'll be at least 100 again.
Now,
I don't like to throw out. That's why it's funny you're calling me Bud Brown, because I don't like to throw out the brown inferior bud. I like to throw out the green killer stuff.
Now, your last name is LeBeau?
Yeah, that was my real name.
Okay.
My pagan name, so I've switched it to my religious name.
You know, I mean, you get kind of people going with a little bit of logic, and then you kind of throw some things in to throw them off track. And,
well, I am a preacher. You know, you got to be a little off the wall.
Yeah.
Preacher.
It says that you spend anywhere from $50 to $400 a week on drugs, depending on whether you have a job.
Yeah, and right now I do telemarketing part-time, so I'm able to spend.
Oh, geez. So you bother people at home or are trying to smoke pot and relax?
Let me tell you, this is the God's honest truth. We do it for a group that does it for anti-drug groups. So it's a high,
what? Wait a second. Back up.
Well, this is how you have to work the system. You have to work within and then use what you can to help overthrow it. So I'm raising money for an anti-drug group and then actually using my profits to use for the pro-drug movement.
Wow.
Isn't that kind of counterproductive?
Not at all, because there's so much hypocrisy in this anti-drug stuff. I might as well get my share of the pie and then use it for waking people up.
Well, give me and we want to take some calls, okay? Broward lines are open 524-WIOD. But real quick, give me your pitch when you call out for your telemarketing.
You just say, you know, there's a big drug problem here. We've got 5-year-old kids smoking crack cocaine, you know.
Which you are against.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So I truthfully stick more to that. And, you know, when you're talking to people, they aren't worried about marijuana. So all the money that's being raised, not just by what I do, but all these other groups, is being raised on this the idea of crack and heroin and stuff like that.
So just out of curiosity, what is the group and what is their profit margin since they pay you to solicit for them?
Oh, those fundraising groups. I mean, just let me tell people now, never give anybody who calls you on the phone or anything. They showed United Way was crooked too. Any type of charity, there's somebody at the top grabbing most of the profits.
Well, we that United Way thing
rich
for sure.
Pig that's getting rich off these problems.
And I always ask, you know, are you donating your time? I don't feel if it's a worthwhile group, these people who volunteer and not being paid, if they're being paid, I'm not going to sit there and pay them to call me and bother me.
But a lot of times they'll lie to you.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get back to, like I said, let's take some calls. You said that you smoked some marijuana before you talked to us, and I said, are you stoned? And you said, no, I'm knowledgeable.
That's right, because marijuana takes you to a higher consciousness. It's like the third eye. You're seeing things as they really are rather than from a closed perspective that most people have.
Let's go to North Miami. Hello.
Hey, potloads.
Oh, that's right. And you have to say back at you, Reverend.
Back at you.
Robert, is that Reverend Bud that I'm speaking with?
That's right. I'm here, brother.
Well, I have to tell you, I agree with some of the things that you're talking about. And Rick and Suds, I give you a lot of credit for stepping forward and bringing out some of the things in your talk show that most other hosts will not bring out. But and you're doing it in a good way, a way where you want to be truthful. So that's kind of part of why I'm calling.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you that I don't want to make a speech, so cut right in whenever you feel like it. Yes or no?
Well,
Okay,
I
we
didn't feel like it.
No.
You didn't feel like it. Okay.
Just let me ask you, did you become knowledgeable before you called?
Well, I feel like my knowledge is wearing off as I speak.
Okay.
But yes, I was knowledgeable at the time I was waiting.
All right.
I was on hold.
Okay.
And I had a really deep thought, and I have forgotten it while introducing myself.
Would you like me to put you back on hold, and then you can interject whenever you feel like it?
I was doing that all along, but okay.
Well, where do you think he's off base in some regards? Because even High Times Magazine called them the most offensive
hemp band they had ever heard.
I'd like to speak about that in a second.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Well, he's different, and he's trying to make his point his way, just like other non-radical people are trying to make their point their way. And I think he has some, like you said it before, he kind of makes a lot of headway and makes a lot of sense, and he's talking very logically, and then he'll just kill it.
Yeah.
Which turns people off. And truthfully, I sometimes become knowledgeable, and good for the, most of the working
Okay.
class.
So basically, you just have the same comment that I would, that he's a little overboard and a little too radical to make any progress in the movement.
But here's the key. I'm truthful, and that's the main thing. I mean, the movement is very hypocritical. They're trying to legalize a lot of times on the grounds of medical purposes. They don't even want to admit they smoke it.
Right.
I
And
believe
that's the problem. You can't be a hypocrite. You can't be up there and say, I'm a yuppie, I want to smoke marijuana, leave me alone, because they still don't buy it. The people against marijuana still aren't going to let you legalize it, and you look like a hypocrite to the hardcore stoners like me.
I don't really care to legalize it. I don't think that it would be a good thing. I think that it would give a lot of access to a lot of people who you don't want to have that.
Well, you see, there you and I differ. You can't. And again, I think we should
You can't
carry
say
this.
what-
I think
I
we
know
should
what
carry
you're
this
saying.
conversation on after Bud Green is gone, because I want you to direct some questions towards him while he's here, and we can continue this. If you want to talk about it later,
Well,
as far as pros and cons of legalization.
The thing is,
There's got to be
right.
restrictions.
The whole
should have the
show
right to
itself.
use marijuana because it is the Lord, and everybody needs this knowledge. So there's nobody out there that can't benefit from being in a higher state of consciousness.
Let's go to Miami. Hello.
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 Yeah, I'd like to ask you a few questions.
We have a line open in Dade 7519463. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'd like to know, do you have a local chapter down here in Miami?
We're hopefully going to start one when we take the band around the country. We'll start one. I'll give my P.O. box at the end so people can write and help me coordinate some things. Because we want to have...
Well, why don't you give it now, because some people may not be able to wait.
Okay. It's Reverend Bud Green, P.O. Box 341124. That's P.O. 341124, L.A., California.
And what is... I'm sorry, go ahead with the...
L.A. 90034.
Okay.
L.A. 90034.
And what would your chapter be called?
It's basically the religion is what I've been doing for 10 years. The band's only a couple years old. It's called the Religion of Drugs, and that stands for Drugs and Revolution will establish a utopian government for our society. So the idea is to mix the psychedelics like marijuana and mushrooms and LSD with the radical politics. We're like going back to the 60s. I'm kind of like an Abbie Hoffman type figure in the 90s.
Let me ask you this. Are you affiliated with any organized religion or just your own?
No, I didn't go what's that religion where they give you that stupid card, Universal Life Church. I don't want to be a hypocrite.
No, there's a lot of people who go to...
I don't feel I need any government sanction to tell people I'm a reverend. I preach the word of God as I see it, and thing is that it's not my knowledge I'm giving people. It's knowledge that's accumulated through the marijuana. So you could talk to a Rastafari in Jamaica. You could talk to
of which we have
South
plenty
America
here.
with the peyote religion, and they give you the same knowledge I'm giving you. So
Okay, well, there's a lot of people that go to church that don't have cards. I meant Jewish, Christian...
I was born Jewish, but I converted.
Yeah.
Okay. So your second question, sir, and then we're going to let you go.
Okay, are you coming to South Florida?
Yeah, hopefully we will be down there, and that'll be like August, I feel, so by the time we'll be able to make it through the area.
Well, I'm sure
I
you'll give
definitely
us...
want to go. I don't do this for money, as people understand. I do this to preach the Word of God, so the band is good to have because the band allows me to travel throughout the country and preach the Word.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Do you preach any other word of God besides, and this kind of gets back to the religion, besides it's okay to smoke marijuana?
Yeah, I mean, we're preaching the liberation theology.
What Bible
Because
do you use?
you're near South America, you should know the liberation theology was big in El Salvador and Nicaragua, the idea that God is revolution because things are unjust.
Okay.
So we're talking about changing society. I kind of have a Jerry Brown message, but the thing is Jerry Brown's still corrupt, so he isn't really worth the message. He's got a good message, but he's part of the whole problem anyway.
What Bible do you carry with you?
I carry the one that you get from the motel, the Gideons.
Okay, so both Old and New Testament.
Yeah, we put both. And the thing is, I want to clarify something, because I talk about revolution a lot. Revolution just means sudden change. We're not into violence, so we don't want to burn down the White House. We want to burn one in the White House.
We're going to put you on hold with that, Reverend. It's 3:42. Willie Nelson has already burned one on top of the White House.
Yeah, I heard that, but he had to do it indiscreetly, or discreetly. I'd rather just do it right in the open. Maybe what I'll do, if it doesn't happen quick enough, I'll go take the White House store and just stop and smoke one right in front of the guy.
There you go. Okay, let's go back to the phones in Miami. Hello.
Canoe camping buttloads.
Hey, I got you.
I wanted to ask the Reverend, it may be too scientific, but it's kind of important. I saw you on Geraldo.
Yep.
And as soon as you quoted the passage out of the Bible, I ran to the Bible and looked it up. And I remembered you saying something about cocaine and heroin being drugs of the devil.
Exactly.
Yeah. and marijuana being a way of obtaining knowledge to the Lord.
That's it.
And the Bible uses the word herb. Isn't cocaine and heroin, aren't they derived from herbs? I'm trying to understand the difference.
Not really. Cocaine is a plant, and the heroin is the opium poppy. The difference is, if you could chew the coca leaves and use the poppy itself, it would not be as bad. But cocaine and heroin are one drug taken out of these plants, and that's why they're so addictive and why they're so evil.
But then again, Reverend, don't you believe that God put those here also? I mean, they do have great medicinal purpose.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm trying to say. In South America, when they chew the coca leaves, actually, like there's a religion built around that too. But
the Peruvian Indians been chewing that stuff up for 1,000 years.
Yeah, I mean, so that's true. But the thing is, what we know is cocaine and heroin are evil drugs. Marijuana is still that natural herb that it was meant to be. So that's the main difference.
It's processed for potency, is what you're saying.
They're man-made, basically. Anything synthetic, anything that man is handed and watch out for. That's the way we look at it.
Is that it, caller?
I wanted to make a statement. I used marijuana in order to stop smoking cigarettes because the pot was not as addictive as the nicotine.
I would imagine besides that, you just forget about smoking cigarettes after a while.
Yeah.
But it worked, and I've been cigarette-free for 20 years now, I guess. It's great.
All right, good to hear. You gave up the devil, and now you're worshiping the Lord.
Palm Beach, hello. Palm Beach.
Hello.
Hello, sir.
Is this the Reverend Green?
That's it.
Man, at least I got to talk to you.
Yeah, good to speak to you, brother.
How you doing?
All right, I'm sitting here worshiping the Lord with my sister Mary Jane.
Oh, yeah? Well, I'm sitting here worshiping the bar here in Palm Beach.
Okay, it was nice to talk to you. Let me, do people ever give you a bad time for making a mockery of religion?
Not really. I mean, I never get really bad reactions. The only bad reactions I get are from people like High Times that have their own limited view of what marijuana should be used for. I mean, that's funny that they call me the most pro-offensive band because they've been trying to destroy my message for a few years now.
To people who would be Christians, do you believe you can worship the Lord without smoking pot?
Yeah, I think you can, but the thing is, these are the original sacraments that Christ gave his followers. He didn't give them a piece of bread and some wine. He gave them what it really was the mushroom. There's a book called The Sacred Mushroom and the Cross, written by the guy who originally did the work on the Dead Sea Scrolls, which they still haven't really released after all these years. His theory was that the origins of Christianity are with the mushroom. Not the magic mushroom that we know about, but it's called the Amanita muscaria. It's a red-cap mushroom.
Hallucinogenic?
Yeah, it's a heavy one compared to the magic mushroom. It's much heavier psychedelic. But the key is that he proved that 1,000 years before Christ, people referred to the mushroom as the Son of God. So basically, that is Jesus Christ. When they said, take my body and know my knowledge, he was giving people that mushroom. So we really believe that we're the...
Oh, wait a second. Wasn't in the Last Supper, wasn't it bread and wine?
That's what I'm saying, but that's not true. In fact, they know that the sacraments were different. That's always been the question. What were the original sacraments? They know bread and wine weren't them. I've come to believe, and now with all these books that have been written about it, the original sacrament was the mushroom. And so that's the origins of religion. So it's not a joke. I mean, what has happened, though, is with drugs in the 20th century, they've made drugs out to be evil and all that, but the drugs are actually the core of God. So the modern society, the modern people in charge have tried to warp the true mentality of what the Lord is, and I'm trying to bring that back. That's why I take a lot of scorn for what I do, but it doesn't bother me because I'm speaking the truth of what God really is.
Okay, we need to take a traffic break. I want to take one quick call in Boca. Hello.
Hi, I'm 13 years old, and I